everybody. I want to welcome you to the Gilbert House Children's Museum, where our mission is to inspire children of all ages to learn through play. So please tonight, after you get done eating and after the program, please enjoy our exhibits. You can build something magnificent in the Blue Block Room. You can create something in Creation Station. You can act out a little play in Center Stage, and you can go wild in Recollections. Enjoy each one of the houses and just have fun because you guys deserve it. I know I spent a little time as a volunteer manager when I was with CASA, and I know what work it can take. I often called it, herding cats, but I also know that one of the skills I think that you guys all bring is that ability to be able to work with people of all kinds, from a student who might be here through community service to someone who is a retired professional, and that's a skill that not everybody has. So thank you for bringing that to our community. I'd also like to just take a second to introduce Angeline, who is our volunteer manager here at Gilbert House and does a great job with that. And now I'll turn it over to Tammy.
Yeah. So did anybody notice that we already broke all the rules like kids are supposed to? Just say yes. Yes, we did. We broke the rules. If you look on your program, we switched things up. She's not Tammy and I'm not Joanna. We decided just to change the order of things a little bit. So before I get started and tell you who I am, I want to give a really, really warm volunteer managers and family and support group thank you to the Gilbert House who donated their facility to us tonight. So thank you very much. So who am I? My name is Tammy Bauman. I am with MVVMA. Because that's what we say when you can't say MVVMA. Mid-Valley Volunteer Managers Association. I am your current co-vice president. And as part of the welcome, I'd like to just introduce quickly our current leadership team. We have my counterpart and partner in crime, the other vice president, Janice Bingath. We have, is Desta here tonight? So Desta, Sarine, thank you. Sarine is our current treasurer, keeps all of the math right. And our current president, Kathy Crocker. And last and not least in any way, our secretary, Ashley Erb. And together she and I hope that you enjoy the theme and the decorations for tonight, because it was our pleasure to kind of bring it all together to celebrate all of you. So happy International Volunteer Managers Day. So by show of hands, who in the room is a volunteer manager? So my hat's off to each and every one of you. Congratulations on choosing a profession that is both noble and exhausting at the exact same time. In my short little time today, I'm going to promote something that I hope all of you that raised your hand, or those that didn't raise your hand and would like to consider, would take advantage of. And that is the Certification for Volunteer Administrators. It is an acronym CVA. And what the CVA is, and I think I have a couple in the room, right? So raise your hand if you are a current CVA. So that would be Gretchen and I in the room. So if you have any questions, I'm throwing Gretchen into the wolf's den here with me. Please see us. We have a couple of folks that are current applicants and candidates in the CVA program. The Certification for Volunteer Administration, and there's more information in this plastic doohickey thing that's over there, is a certification for volunteer administrators to, it's a certification, not a certificate, because it asks volunteer managers to be present and qualified in a practical level in the field of volunteer administration. It is, it sets a standard for all professional volunteer administrators, and it brings us all together in the profession of volunteer administration for, I'm losing my words because it validates skills and knowledge that are necessary in the profession so that people recognize that well done volunteer administration and excellent volunteer experiences do not happen by accident. They're intentional, and it's because the people behind the scenes that are taking care of all the business are doing so through the professional eyes. So I would encourage you to take a look at that material if you're interested in the program. The last thing I'll leave you with, I have left on your tables some blue cards. And what those blue cards do is it challenges you as a volunteer administrator or part of the support network of a volunteer administrator to think about volunteer management through vision, through creativity and imagination. How can you not be creative and imaginative in a place like the Gilbert House where imagination is in abundance? It asks you to think about volunteer management through wisdom, and most importantly, through passion. So as you return back to your jobs and you realize, wow, here I go again. There's paperwork galore, there's cancellations, there's every obstacle that you can think of, every hour of every day when you're dealing with human resources and relationships. I would ask you to challenge yourself by writing on this card what volunteer management is to you through one of those lenses. Hang it up somewhere and use it to inspire yourself the next time you need it. And most importantly, as a reminder from Gilbert House and a reminder from all of us today, find your inner child on a daily basis and think about volunteer management with that type of enthusiasm and unbridled passion. So that's all I have to say for you. Thank you very much for coming. And then it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker tonight. So Eli Hamlin is the gentleman that's going to come up to you. And we invited him as a youth speaker, and somewhere between our invitation and tonight, he became an adult. I tried to hold it back, but something about a date just kind of messed with us. But tonight, we thought what better fitting than to have somebody that is committed as a volunteer and has served countless hours in service as a youth to maybe inspire you as volunteer managers tonight about your commitment to the excellence and volunteerism that you dedicate. I know Eli through the Boy Scouts of America. He is one of a select few Eagle Scouts. Congratulations, Eli. But he is also a very well-spoken young man of high character. And I appreciate him putting himself out here tonight to talk to all of us about what volunteer management means to him or what volunteerism means to him so that maybe we can just do our jobs just that much better. So Eli, thank you.
She forgot to mention how humble I am. I didn't really know why I was asked to do this tonight. In fact, the only things that really qualified me were the fact that I'm a youth and I was volunteered to do this. But I'm just so excited to be able to talk and do this. It was very exciting for me to get the invitation and to be able to, I like presenting on volunteering because it's something that's important to me. So I've read a lot of books on volunteering. I volunteered a lot, and I don't think I really have anything to add to that, especially when Tammy talked to me about doing this. She talked a lot about volunteering as it applies to youth, and I don't have anything really to add to like steps to getting the youth to volunteer. So I just thought I would talk about myself, the stories I've gone through as a youth, although technically I'm not a youth anymore, but as a youth I have stories and observations from that stories and how they apply to volunteering. So my volunteering story, I've been volunteering pretty much all my life, but there was this moment when all of a sudden I started enjoying it. And I thought I'd start there because it seemed like a good place to start. And it happened in 2010, and I was invited to go to Haiti with my youth group on a missions trip. This was right after the earthquake there. I was technically too young. They let me go anyways. I was responsible or something. But to prepare for that, we were all doing these different fundraisers. And one of the fundraisers we did was a garage sale. And we got all these donations. We filled these 2 huge rooms with all this garage sale stuff. And we had to move it all outside onto the giant parking lot, set up all this tape and stuff. And it was a lot of work. And we showed up early in the morning and started carting out boxes. It took us quite a few hours to get everything set up. And about halfway through, I realized, hey, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be enjoying this. What's going on? And everyone else is like, oh, this sucks. And I'm just like, this is so much fun. What are you talking about? And so, like, we got done moving all the boxes out, and I go up to the person in charge, and I was like, what can I do now? And they're like, nothing. We're really all set up. And I was like, well, is there anything I can do? And she happened to be the church secretary, and she's like, well, we need the sanctuary to be vacuumed. And I was like, sounds like fun. So I went up and vacuumed the entire sanctuary. It took me a couple more hours. I got back out, and everyone else is having lunch, so I sit down with them and having lunch. And everyone there was just all down, and they were all like, oh, this sucks. Why do we have to waste our Saturday doing this? They were all just sitting there bored. They were like, oh, I'm so tired now. I'm all out of energy. And I kind of realized a couple things. I realized that, first off, I had more energy than them. And I was like, what's this? I was working all morning. They've been sitting around for the last 2 hours. I mean, why do I have more energy? And I realized that was because I was enjoying myself. I was really enjoying myself volunteering. And it was really it was awesome just being able to volunteering. And I realized then that volunteering is addictive. It was just like, right then, I was hooked on it. It was like a gateway drug. I was ready to volunteer more.
That's a new slogan. Volunteering, the gateway drug.
You guys should totally use that. You can give me the copyright. But yeah, it was just like, from there, I just wanted to volunteer more and more. And so I started doing it because it was fun, not just because it was something that I felt obligated to do in any way. And so I started volunteering at my church. And about a year later, our church started doing this community garden. And they asked me to come and help with that. And so one day, the pastor, the assistant pastor who was in charge of it, calls me up. And I'm homeschooled, so it was easy for me to come out in the middle of the day and help with something. And he's like, hey, we've got this group of middle schoolers who are coming out and volunteering from Blanchette, and we're wondering if you could come out and work with them. And I was like, okay. And so I came out, I show up late, and he's like, all right, go out there, and we're making bark dust trails. You know how to do that, Eli, you're in charge. And I was like, okay. So I was making these bark dust trails. I am a freshman, so I'm like a year older than they are, barely. And I'm out there in charge of all this, and I look around and I'm like, there's a lot of girls here, which, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I was like, okay, this is a little bit surprising. So I'm there working on this working on this, and it also started to rain, and I was just like, oh, this is going to be fun. Because we're out there working with bark dust, trying to lay down newspaper, and it's raining, and it's a bunch of middle school girls. And so we start wrapping up, and about lunchtime we look out, and all the paths have been done. And these paths are about 200 feet long, 3 feet wide, and there's 4 of them. And it took 40 middle school girls half an hour to do it. And afterwards, I found out, the pastor was talking to me, and he said, those girls really surprised me. They worked hard. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, when they told me that it was going to be a group of just middle school girls, I was a little worried. And I was like, next time that's going to be a group of middle school girls, maybe warn me ahead of time, just so I know what to expect. But that was another thing that we kind of noticed there, was just like how dedicated they were as youth, even middle school girls who typically aren't known for doing very much. I have younger sisters, I can say that, but they were able to be dedicated and accomplish a task. So when youth are dedicated, when I've been dedicated to accomplish a task, and when I've seen other people dedicated to accomplish a task, I've noticed that they can get it done. It's not like youth are just going to go out there and volunteer and then quit halfway through. I've noticed that they have a tendency to get the job done. And so the real problem, of course, is how to get youth to volunteer. It's not keeping them volunteering, since it's like a gateway drug. It's getting them started in the first place. And so I had a couple observations from my own experience that showed me how to get youth to volunteer. And the first one I kind of noticed is that youth need to know that they can do something. They need to know that they can accomplish something. Because a lot of times youth think, oh, I'm going to volunteer in this, but I'm not really going to get anything done. I'm just a kid. Someone else could do this better. And I've been taught my whole life that I can get stuff done. My parents have been very supportive with me in that. And this summer I was working at this organization called YWAM down in South Salem, and I'm interning there, and there's 2 other teens there, and I talked to the 2 guys, and they seemed pretty cool, so I was pretty excited. But as the summer went on, I kind of noticed that I was being dedicated to it as a job, and they kind of treated it like a summer camp. And I mean, they were getting the job done, they were working, and I had nothing against them, but I just noticed that they weren't progressing. I was asking, hey, can I do this now? Can I do this now? Can I lead a lesson one day? Can I clean the bathrooms this day? And I kind of realized that the reason that other guys weren't doing it was because they didn't think they could. They didn't think that they were good enough to get up there and talk to anyone. They didn't think they had anything important to say. They didn't think that they had any skills that were useful. I remember one day we went out to build this retaining wall, and I've built a couple of retaining walls before, and we're going out there and we're building this retaining wall, and the other guy just sits there and he's like, oh, well, I'm not really good at it, and it's just lifting bricks and bringing them over. It's not rocket science, frankly. I mean, I can do it, so. But the whole idea of doing this job, he didn't think that he could accomplish it, and especially since he didn't see any progress, he didn't think that he was helping at all. And I think that what youth really need to know is that they can accomplish something through volunteering. They can get something done. And that kind of leads to the next thing is they've got to be important. When a youth, when I felt important and needed for a job and a necessary part of that job, I've enjoyed doing that job. Whereas when I felt like they could replace me in a couple minutes, it's just been like, oh, I'm not really doing anything here. And I kind of noticed this when I was doing, like Tammy said, I'm an Eagle Scout, and at my Boy Scout troop I was senior patroller, which means I was in charge of everyone. And I was in charge for 2 years. And the second time I was doing it, I was trying to pick out my leadership team. And I had this list of boys who I needed to get into leadership positions because they were all older boys, and I wanted to work with them all. So I was assigning them each jobs, and I get to the bottom of the list, and I realized that one of them, who happened to be one of the only Eagle Scouts in the troop at the time, and happened to be really responsible and someone I definitely should put on the job, didn't have a job. So I was like, oh crap, what am I supposed to do? So I go to my scout book, and I'm digging through the section which talks about different leadership positions, and all of a sudden I see this job, instructor, and I realized we didn't have an instructor in our troop. And I kind of glanced at what they were supposed to do, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make up my own job for this guy, call it the instructor position so he has a badge, and make him feel, because I need his help because he's a good leader, but I ran out of jobs. So I made up a job for him, and the next meeting I go up to him and I say, hey, we've got this brand new important job that we've got to get done. We've just made it up, and I was going to come to you. I was going to come to you first because I think that you'll do the best of this. And he said, oh yeah, I'll do it. And so from there, he was the most dependable, the person I could count on the most to get the job done, because he knew that this job was made up a little bit, but it was also important, and that I was trusting it to him. And it's important to make it important for the youth. It's got to, not that you have to make up a job for them, but giving a person, anyone, especially youth, a job that's important makes them feel like they're needed. Finally, I've personally been trying to get some youth volunteers involved in this thing that I've started called Youth Against Injustice, and the general idea is to educate people, youth, on injustices in our community and around the world, like unclean water, human trafficking, and all those kind of things. And so I was trying to get a team set up for this, and as I'm going around, I started realizing, like, I announced it at my youth group and no one wanted to join. I started announcing it to other people, no one wanted to join. And I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? So finally I started going to people one by one and saying, hey, I need some help on this. And it was obvious that the people cared, everyone cared. But when I went up to them personally and said, I need your help on this, they were willing to do it. Not necessarily because they really wanted to help with the thing, but because I was the one who was asking them. And I think that was one of the things. So I kind of coined that as making volunteering cool, because I'm so cool, and that's obviously why they wanted to join. But you know, a lot of it is just relationships and having youth. Like, if you get one person who is fired up and passionate about the subject, then all of a sudden their friends are going to be fired up and passionate about it, and all of a sudden their friends are going to want to get involved, and all of a sudden volunteering becomes cool. And all these youth want to get involved because their friends are doing it, not because they care. And the caring does come later, and it's not that youth don't care. I think that every youth, to some extent, cares. They just don't necessarily see the need to do it until they know that they can do something. They know that they're important, and they know that other people are doing it too. They know that they're not going to be alone if they take part in this. So I was just kind of thinking about all this stuff about youth volunteering, and I kind of thought it's crazy because, like I said, volunteering is addictive, and once youth get involved in volunteering, that's when crazy stuff starts to happen, because that's when they'll be dedicated, they'll get the stuff done, and yeah, that's when stuff happens, is when I think youth get involved, because first off, they have more time on their hands, and second off, they care. And when they care, they are very single-minded and want to get it done. So that's kind of what I had to say. Thank you for having me.
So as Tammy introduced, I'm Ashley Erba. I'm the volunteer coordinator at Shangri-La, but I am honored to be your MVVMA secretary as well. And I get the honor and privilege tonight of announcing our Celebrating Leaders of Volunteer Excellence Recognition Clover Awards. This is the third year. I'm looking at Tammy, and she's not looking at me. Third year. Yes. And we have continued to grow the Clover Awards, and we're really excited about this year. We've had a record number of nominations, so all we can go is up from here, I think. Okay, so what I think I'll do is I will announce each award category and tell you a little bit about the category, and then I will announce each of the nominees, and while I'm announcing you, just please stand up. You don't have to come up here, and then I'll announce the winner, and we will go from there. So we will start with our Outstanding New Volunteer Administrator category. So the folks who are nominated for this category have been a volunteer administrator for 2 years or less. They exhibit a character that sets a positive example for their colleagues. They advocate for the volunteer manager profession. They have developed or are developing a professional development plan that will lead to the mastery of volunteer administration. I don't know if mastery is a pretty intense word there, isn't it?
Black belt.
Yeah, black belt in volunteer management. This person is passionate, enthusiastic about the volunteer management profession, and has the ability to positively impact others, both professionally and personally. So we have 3 nominees for this award. First is Sherilyn Bechtel. Please stand up. She is the volunteer coordinator at the Union Gospel Mission, and she has been there 2 years, around 2 years. Wonderful. And we have a little something for each of our nominees. So this inside is a book of Dr. Seussisms, which we thought was completely appropriate for today's event. And I think if anyone should be giving advice about life, it should be Dr. Seuss. So Thank you, Sherilyn. Our second nominee is Kelly Keese. Go ahead, Kelly. Kelly is the volunteer coordinator at CCTV, which is also here tonight. Thank you. And Kelly is very new to CCTV. She's only been there since January. And rounding out our group for this award is Heidi Fossmark from New Growth in Staten. And Heidi, I don't know how long you've been a volunteer coordinator. Will you tell me how long? Yeah, how long? 2 years? Yeah, right at 2 years. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Yeah, just don't say over 2 years because that will disqualify you. We're very serious about this here. So if we can just give a round of applause to all of the nominees before I announce the winner. And then when I announce the winner, please come up here and then I'm going to say all kinds of things about you. So this year's Outstanding New Volunteer Administrator is Miss Kelly Keese. Come on up. So we have to do the official photo of the handoff. Wonderful. Okay. So I'm just going to read some of the information that was in Kelly's nomination. So it says, Kelly lives and models positive examples in all of her roles at CCTV. If you have spent any time with Kelly, this next sentence is so true. She is bright, energetic, and enthusiastic. She handles the combined roles of office and volunteer coordinator with ease, so she, like many of us, wears more than one hat. Kelly has a degree in art history. Despite this seemingly unrelated area of expertise, Kelly has found creative ways to translate this knowledge into meaningful volunteer engagement. When I was interviewing her, she shared a story. When she came to CCTV, she noticed that the walls were very bare, and as someone who loves art, this was unacceptable. So she quickly went to work partnering with the Salem Art Association. Is that right? Artisan Action, messed that up, to fill all of those blank walls with beautiful art, and they now rotate through that. So partnerships from day one. Early in her time at CCTV, Kelly identified gaps in volunteer management best practices. She is revamping the volunteer orientation and training program to better prepare CCTV volunteers for their various roles. She is implementing new volunteer management software, which is one of the most fun things that we get to do. She hopes this will help her better track volunteer assignments and provide her the data to provide better volunteer recognition. Kelly takes the time to get to know each of her volunteers. She is friendly and makes sure new volunteers and ongoing volunteers are comfortable. She learns about them, their families, and what is important to them. And she has helped the staff at CCTV to be more in tune with volunteers and make sure the new volunteers have a positive learning experience. One more round of applause for Miss Kelly. Do you want to say anything? You don't have to. She does not want to say anything, so we will move on. Okay. Yes. Okay, so the next award is our Excellence in Volunteer Administration Award. So this is a volunteer administrator who has served in the position for 2 or more years. This person models best practices in volunteer administration, is proficient in effective volunteer management, actively shares their knowledge with others through training, presenting, or mentoring, is an advocate for the volunteer management profession, and volunteers in their community or in service to the profession. Some nominees have completed or obtained their certificate in volunteer administration, certification in volunteer administration. So we have 2 nominees in this category. I have to get back to my sheet. Okay. So our first nominee is Kathy Beach from the Marion County District Attorney Victim Assistance Division. Woo, that's a mouthful. And she has been with, in her role as volunteer coordinator for 12 years. The second nominee is Janet Spingath from the Marion Polk Food Share. She has been with the Food Share for 5 years. Okay. And the winner of the Excellence in Volunteer Management Award is Miss Janet Spingath. Come on up. This is for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
With it?
Yes. Oh, hold on. Okay.
There.
Good? Good. Anyone else? Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so this is some information from, yeah, it's beautiful, right?
Yes, I'm surprised.
And you're surprised. That is beautiful. This is a classy event, okay?
No, I'm surprised I got it. And I
Oh.
took it as beautiful.
Okay. Okay, so the nominator for Janet said this. I don't know how our volunteer administrator, Janet Spingath, does it. She literally juggles, and I love this, the hopes and dreams of thousands of volunteers and staff monthly here at the Marion Polk Food Share. She encourages the entire staff to welcome and work with volunteers. Over the last few years, she has changed the culture here from one of a production facility run by harried staff to a place where the employees look to volunteers as an integral part of the mission, which I think is something we all hope our organizations will do at some point. She has nearly completed her certification in volunteer administration. Marion Polk Food Share has been voted the best place to volunteer for 3 years in a row, so congratulations for that. And the person who wrote this said, these programs and activities have our volunteer coordinators' fingerprints all over them. She works with the staff to identify opportunities for volunteers to expand our capacity. She recruits groups and individuals using her small staff of volunteers and her network connections. She literally coordinates hundreds of successful volunteer experiences weekly. It's pretty amazing. To end hunger in our community will take the tireless, unrelenting efforts of everyone to accomplish. If your intent is to teach a community to fish, you had better bring a very talented volunteer coordinator to bear on the task. You're going to need one. We already have ours, Janet Spingath. One more round of applause, please. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Janet would like to say something.
I would.
Okay.
Up here behind me, you see these slides. This was what got me into volunteering. I was asked by Gilbert House, one day I was teaching a little class here, if I would be a leader of teams who would build this playground here. And I didn't know anything about it. And I had the best experience. I would come here and people had signed up to volunteer and I had to walk up and down all that scaffolding. Our job was to put together the slides and I took tools to people. I met all kinds of people. I met architects, I met the weatherman, I met kids who were volunteering for community service. It was the best experience and I thought, wow, this Gilbert House is one of the best volunteer experiences anyone can have in Salem. And this is where I got started, and I'm just happy to be here. I'm very honored to get this. Thank you so much.
So, which side down the slides?
Okay, so the last award that we are giving away tonight, this is the first time we've actually given this award, so I think it's really, really very exciting. It's our 4-Leaf Clover Legacy Award. So this person has been in volunteer administration for 10 years or more. They model best practices in volunteer administration, actively shares knowledge with others, is an advocate for the volunteer management profession, holds membership in related volunteer associations, and promotes the success and stewardship of colleagues by inviting them to teach or train at their organization, nominating others for recognition, or participating in peer review or evaluation processes, for example. So drum roll please. No, there's only one name on this list, but I can't imagine anyone else's name being on here. So Miss Tibby Larson, please come up as our Clover Legacy Award winner. There you go.
It's beautiful.
It is. Okay, so as I was preparing for this, I was going through her nomination form, and there's pretty much nothing that I can take out of it because it's all awesome. So I'm just going to read the majority of it to you. And we actually received two people nominated to be for this award. And just by quick show of hands, if Tibby has positively impacted your role as a volunteer administrator, raise your hand. Yes, pretty much all of us here. So, okay. Tibby has been a leader and advocate for the volunteer management profession for over 30 years, serving the past 13 years as volunteer coordinator for the City of Salem Parks Department. She has been a member of MVVMA for over 15 years. She additionally has been a member of the National Association of Volunteer Programs in Local Government for 9 years, where she served as the treasurer for 6. These are some quotes from Tibby's colleagues at the City of Salem. Tibby is a strong advocate for volunteerism. She promotes the physical and mental health benefits that are a result of volunteering. She fully understands the concepts of partnerships, networking, and selfless commitment to others. She is a great partner and coworker and a warm and compassionate and caring person. Her dedication to the City of Salem Parks and the planning and organization of all of the hundreds of volunteers and projects is a huge asset to the Parks Operation Department. Tibby is always there to make a gray day bright for everyone, as she is always willing, always smiling, and ready to help with any event. Wherever there is sickness with anyone connected to the Parks family, Tibby is the first one to have a card signed to let the person know that the Parks family is thinking about them and caring for them. Tibby provides training for many new volunteer managers through presenting at workshops, conferences, and one-on-one trainings. Most recently, she presented at the League of Oregon Cities workshop and the Oregon Recreation and Park Association conference. She has also trained a new volunteer manager at Willamette Lane. I'm gonna have to work on that. Park and Recreation District, and the volunteer coordinator for the local Audubon Society. Tibby puts volunteer miles on her running shoes. She actively volunteers at walks, runs, and cycling events. She also volunteers as needed at the food bank in her community and for the Providence Medical Foundation. Tibby has been in this field for over 30 years and has the recipe for excellence down, and her graciousness and professionalism, the special ingredients that earn her this blue ribbon. One last quote. Tibby is the capitalized best volunteer coordinator in the world. Last weekend, she coordinated a 250-plus group of volunteers. She was on the site working right alongside the group, and we received many compliments from the sponsors of this event. Please join me in congratulating Tibby one more time. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course. Yes, I do have something I want to say. I want to say that this is so meaningful to me. I give tons of speeches and presentations, and I never get nervous. And I've been nervous since I got up from bed this morning, just considering this. At our staff meeting this morning, we were talking about our glory days. And our staff people were saying in high school this, in high school that. And I was sitting there thinking about coming to this event tonight. And I thought, well, this is a glory day for me. I couldn't be more grateful for this award. It's so meaningful to me. One of the reasons it's so meaningful to me is I know who you all are in the community who have the same job I have. And I know how difficult it is. And I see how beautifully and gracefully you do your jobs. And so to be nominated to receive this award amongst all of you is really meaningful to me. So because it's so important, I wanted to say what's really true for me. I really want to thank Mid-Valley Volunteer Managers. You've been with me since I moved to Salem, and I've been a volunteer manager for many years, more than I was a volunteer manager in Eugene and a couple of other places as well. And I didn't have the support of an organization like MVVMA. So really, my job here in Salem has been so much easier because of MVVMA. So I really want to thank MVVMA. I want to thank Tammy for nominating me too and being my friend. One reason I think MVVMA is so cool is because it provides training and support and network for people who do one of the hardest jobs. As was mentioned before, a lot of people don't believe that volunteer management is a profession, but of course it certainly is. And this is the place, MVVMA is where you get support for that profession. So I think MVVMA is really cool. I want to also say that I'm very fortunate to work at City of Salem. One reason I have such a successful volunteer record or volunteer management record is because my boss and my boss's boss really believe in volunteerism. They really support our volunteer programs. So if, as a volunteer manager, if you're finding your job too difficult, be sure to talk to your boss and your boss's boss and have them call me, and I'll have them talk to my boss, because if your job is really too hard, then you need support from your management. And then what else did I want to say? I think that's all I wanted to say. Thank you all for all your support. Beautiful award. I love it. It's fabulous.
So just one more round of applause for all of our nominees and winners tonight. So we just have some closing remarks, and for that I'd like to invite Kathy Crocker, MVVMA's president. And before I get off the stage, I just want to say, as soon as Kathy finishes, will all of the nominees and award winners go back to where you got your food at? I want to take some pictures, and then we'll be able to just play and have fun for the rest of the evening. So, Kathy.
Well, happy International Volunteer Managers Day, everybody. And congratulations to our nominees and our winners of awards. I'm Kathy Crocker, volunteer manager with Marion County. I've only been there a couple of years, but I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of you. I wanted to point out Tibby, for instance. When this job became available, I scheduled lunch with her right away. I was like, I need to learn from you. She gave me the courage to apply, and I really appreciated that. Eli, he was in my Cub Scout group. I was one of his Cub Scout leaders. I'm so proud of you, and it was really great to hear the perspective of a youth, not only a youth, but a volunteer, and how we need to remember and learn and treat our volunteers with that respect and with the, giving them meaningful jobs that help them in their world. So let's see. Yeah, this is a tough job. There are not always the rewards with it, but we're a great group of people, and I'm so honored to be working with the leadership team of MVVMA. They're amazing. A huge round of applause for Tammy and Ashley, who put this together. They were awesome. I also want to call out Kathy Beach. She is one of the folks in the DA's Victim Assistance Program with Marion County who does an amazing job, and I know I can count on her. She's terrific, and she runs an amazing volunteer program. So, Kelly, I met you through your mother. She got me my glasses, and I told her about about this position, and I'm so happy you applied and that this worked out for you, and you're doing an amazing job. So congratulations. All right, so let's see. I guess we're gonna go play now. So a huge thank you to AC Gilbert's Discovery Village. I used to be on their board here, and I'm very proud that this is something that we have in our community. It's just a treasure in Salem, and you're doing a great job in running it here. And so, thank you.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
I wanted to point out this is Quentin Bauer from
Thank you, Quentin, for being here from Solve. Thank you. All right, so I understand that we have the facility until 7:30, and all of the buildings are open. So now we've done our praising. Now we're going to do our playing. So enjoy, everybody. Have fun. I know there's still more food back there. And thank you so much for coming.
Thanks to CCTV for.
Oh, yes. And a huge thank you to CCTV.